If you think validation means doing 100 discovery calls, running a massive survey, or launching to an audience you don't have yet, I need you to stop watching so many Instagram reels from business coaches who have clearly never actually started a business. You don't need to validate like you're pitching to venture capitalists. You don't need a focus group. You don't need a 5-page questionnaire that you send out to people who immediately delete it and never think about you again. You need to have 5 actual conversations with real humans and pay attention to what they tell you. Hey up, I'm Leigh, and today in Basic F, we are talking about validation without burnout, and also without pretending you're running market research for a Fortune 500 company, when actually what you're just trying to figure out is if anyone wants the thing you're thinking about making. So, here's where most people land at this point. You've picked your payable problem. You've got your 2-line offer. You're feeling pretty good. And then you make the mistake of Googling how to validate a business idea. And suddenly you're reading blog posts from people who act like you need a PhD in consumer psychology before you're allowed to sell anything. The advice always sounds like this: do a 5 to 100 customer interviews. Run a survey with at least 200 responses. Build your audience first, then validate it with them. Launch a beta program with 20 plus people and collect detailed feedback. If you're working a job, or you've got kids, or you're managing your health, or you're just a normal human who doesn't have 40 spare hours a week to conduct market research, that advice makes you want to close your laptop and go back to bed, right? Because where exactly are you supposed to find 100 people who want to talk about your hypothetical business idea? Who has the time to run a beta program? You haven't even built the thing yet. So what happens is you do 2 things. You skip validation entirely because it sounds too complicated, and you just build the thing and hope that people want it, which sometimes works, but often means you spend 3 to 6 months making something no one asked you for, and then you're confused as to why nobody's buying. Option 2, you get stuck in research mode forever. You join 470 Facebook groups. You lurk. You take notes. You watch what people post about. You tell yourself, still validating, when really you're just procrastinating on actually starting. Both these options are traps. Here's what actually works, and I promise you, this is so much simpler than the internet makes it sound. Talk to 5 people. Ask them 5 good questions. Listen to what they say, and then move forward. That's it. That is validation. Not 100 calls, not a survey, not a beta launch. 5 humans, 5 questions, you're done. What validation actually is, let me tell you about Sarah, because I know at least 5 Sarahs, so that name is completely ambiguous. Sarah had an idea for a meal planning service for parents of kids with allergies. She'd spent years navigating this stuff herself, so she knew what a nightmare it was. And she was pretty sure other people would pay for help. But instead of talking to anyone, she spent 6 months building the most beautiful, detailed meal planning system you have ever seen. Custom recipe database, printable shopping lists, allergen filters, the works. She launched it and got crickets. Turns out the parents that she thought she was going to be helping weren't actually struggling with meal planning. They were struggling with getting the kid to eat the food. Meal planning wasn't the problem. Child cooperation was. If Sarah had just talked to 5 parents before building, she would have figured that out in week 1. She could have pivoted. She could have built something that actually solved the problem that they had. Instead, she built something beautiful that nobody wanted. That's what validation prevents. Validation is checking whether real people actually have the problem that you think they have, whether they're already trying to solve it, and whether your solution sounds like something they would use. Validation is not asking people if they like your idea. You get the warm fuzzies when they say, yes, that sounds great, because people say that to be polite. That doesn't mean they're going to buy. The goal isn't to collect compliments. The goal is to hear the truth, even if that truth is, actually, that's not really my problem. Or, I tried something like that, it didn't work. Why five conversations and not 50? I can hear some of you thinking, but 5 people? That's not statistically significant. It's not enough data. And you're right. If you were publishing a peer-reviewed study or launching a product to millions of people, 5 conversations would not be enough. But you're not doing that. You're an early stage founder trying to figure out if you should spend the next 3 months building this thing or if you should adjust it first. 5 conversations will tell you, do people actually have this problem? Are they already trying to solve it? Buying signals, remember, week 4. Does your solution sound relevant to them, or are they giving you a polite, oh, that's nice kind of energy? What words do they use to describe the problem? Spoiler, probably not the words that you've been using. Would they actually pay for this, or is it a nice to have that they'll never prioritize? Excuse the dog, he's dreaming. It's so cute, but slightly annoying too. All 5 people say some version of, yes, this is a real problem, I'm actively trying to fix it, and what you're describing sounds like it would help. You're good. Build it. If 3 out of 5 say, that's not really my issue, or I tried that and it didn't help, adjust before you waste time building. If everyone gives you completely different answers and you can't find a pattern, you probably haven't narrowed down your problem enough. Go back to week 4. Get more specific. You don't need 50 conversations. You need enough signal to know you're not building something nobody wants. And 5 is enough for that. The 5 questions and how not to ruin them. So here's the thing about the validation conversation. Most people completely mess them up by turning them into a sales pitch. They get someone on the phone or in the DMs and immediately launch into, so I'm building this thing and it's going to solve this problem and I'm really excited about it and I think you'd love it. What do you think? And the person on the other end goes, oh, yeah, that sounds nice. Because what else are they supposed to say? You just word vomited your entire business plan at them and now they're trapped in a conversation that they were not expecting. That's not validation. That's you practicing your pitch on someone who's too polite to hang up or refuse to respond. Here's what you actually ask. Question 1. What's the biggest relevant area, challenge you're dealing with right now? Don't lead. Don't hint. Don't say, I bet you're struggling with X, right? Just ask what's going on in the area your offer relates to and how it affects them. Let them tell you. If you're building something for small product businesses and you ask, what's your biggest challenge right now? And they say, honestly, getting my kids to sleep through the night, that person is not your person. Move on. But if they name the problem you're trying to solve without you prompting them, that is a very good sign. So question 2, how are you currently trying to solve that? This is where you find out what they're actually taking action or if they're just complaining. Are they buying things, Googling solutions, joining groups, asking for recommendations, trying DIY fixes and getting frustrated? Or are they just like, yeah, it's annoying, I should probably do something about that one day? The first one is a payable problem. The second one is a wish, and you can't build a business on wishes. Question 3. What's not working about your current solution? This is where the gold is. This is where you find the gap. Maybe they've tried 3 different products and they're all too complicated. Maybe they've hired people and the quality was inconsistent. Maybe they've tried to DIY it and they just don't have the time. Whatever they say here is what your offer needs to fix. Question 4. If there was, describe your solution without naming your product, would that help? Don't pitch. Don't say, I'm building this amazing thing and it's going to change your life. Just describe the outcome or the format in a really simple way. If there was a done-for-you template that handled that problem, or if you could buy a product that did Y without Z and watch their reaction, if they light up and go, oh my God, yes, where is it? I need it. Take my money. Excellent. If they shrug and go, I mean, maybe, that's not enthusiasm, that's politeness. And finally, question 5. What would need to be true for you to actually use or buy something like that? This is your reality check because people will say, yeah, that sounds helpful all day long. But then when it comes to actually buying, suddenly there's a price issue or a trust issue or a timing issue, or they're worried it'll be too complicated. Find out what would stop them now so you can address it in your messaging and offer design, not after you've already built the thing. A story about asking the wrong questions. Let me tell you about Emma. We'll call this one Emma. Emma wanted to start a coaching business for women returning to work after having kids. Great idea. Real problem. Lots of people struggling with that transition. She did validation. She talked to 10 people. She asked them all the same questions. Would you be interested in coaching to help you return to work after maternity leave? All 10 said yes. Emma was thrilled. She built a whole program. She launched 0 sales. Why? Because would you be interested is not the same as would you buy. People are interested in lots of things. I'm interested in learning Italian, running a marathon. That ain't going to happen, is it? I'm becoming the kind of person who meditates daily. Will I pay for any of these things? No, absolutely not. If Emma had asked, what's stopping you from going to the work right now? And what have you tried so far? Or what would you need to feel confident enough to actually invest in support? She would have learned that most of these women weren't ready to spend money yet. They were still figuring out childcare. They weren't sure if they even wanted to go back to work. They were interested, but they weren't buyers. Don't make Emma's mistake. Ask about their problem and what they've tried. Don't ask if they like your idea. Where to find these 5 people without losing your mind? Here we go. But I don't have an audience. I don't know 5 people who fit my person. I can't just cold message strangers. And if you're in the UK, you definitely can't. I mean, yes, you can. You also probably know more people than you think. Here's where to look. Your actual network. Friends, family, acquaintances, colleagues, former colleagues, people you went to school with, people you met at a thing that one time. Yes, even if they're not your exact ideal customer, if your friend's sister has the problem you're solving, talk to your friend's sister. If your former co-worker fits the profile or maybe their partner, ask for an intro. Relevant groups, Facebook groups, Reddit communities, local parent groups, hobby groups, professional networks. Post, I'm researching X for people who struggle with Y. Would anyone be willing for a chat for 10 minutes? Be surprised how many people will say yes. Social media connections. LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever. If someone's been engaging with content about this topic, they probably have opinions. DM them. Ask nicely. Most people like being asked for their input. They just don't like it when there's a cold sales pitch attached. People who have already engaged. If you've posted anything about this problem or topic and people commented or messaged you, those people are telling you they care about this. Talk to them. You don't need a massive audience. You need 5 humans who will give you 10 minutes and honest answers. And honestly, if you genuinely can't find 5 people who will talk to you about this problem, that might be a sign that the problem isn't as widespread as you thought, which is useful information. What to do when someone says something you don't want to hear. This is going to happen. Someone's going to tell you something that doesn't match what you were hoping to hear. Maybe they'll say, actually, don't really struggle with that anymore. Or, I tried something like that and it didn't work for me. Or maybe, that sounds nice, but I wouldn't pay for it. And your brain is going to want to do one of 2 things. Dismiss them. Well, they're just not my ideal customer. They don't get it. I'll find better people to talk to. Or panic. and decide your whole idea is trash and you should give up and go work at Tesco. Don't do either of those things, although I'm sure Tesco is a delightful retail company to work for. Please don't come after me, Tesco. One person saying not for me doesn't mean your idea is bad. It means that specific person isn't your person. That's fine. Keep going. But if 3 or 4 out of 5 people are telling you the same thing, that problem isn't as urgent as you thought it was. Or your solution doesn't quite fit. Or they've tried similar things and it didn't work. Listen to that. That's not a sign to give up. That's a sign to adjust. Maybe you need to reframe how you're describing the solution. Maybe you need to tweak the format. Maybe you need to pick a slightly different angle on the problem. Validation isn't about collecting yeses. It's about collecting truth, even if the truth is uncomfortable. Here's your capacity-aware real talk. If you're ND, introverted, socially anxious, or just someone who finds these conversations draining because social batteries exist, I get it. The good news is that validation doesn't have to be 5 live phone calls where you're performing interested professional human for the next 10 minutes. You can do this via voice notes where you send quick questions, they send voice notes back, DM conversations, slower but way less training, in-person coffee chats, if that's easier for you than phone or video. Maybe it's not. Written responses, ask the questions in a message and let them type an answer. You can also batch them. Do all 5 in one focused week if you've got the energy for that, or spread them out over 2 or 3 weeks if you don't. The format matters less than the questions and actually listening to the answers. Written responses are better than no validation at all. And for some of us, that's just a better format. We can take it in differently. Just don't skip this step because it feels hard. These 5 conversations could build you months of building the wrong thing and a shit ton of money. What happens after these conversations? So you've done your 5 conversations, you've taken notes. Now what? Look for patterns. And those with the TISM have got an advantage on this one. If most people are saying, yes, this is a real problem I'm dealing with right now. I've tried X and Y, they didn't work because Z. What you're describing sounds like that would actually help. I'd pay around X amount for something like that. Or I'd need to see some proof, format, outcome before buying. Then build it. You've got validation. Move forward. If most people are saying to you, I have this problem, but I'd describe it more like something else, use their language, not yours. That sounds good, but I'm worried about, here's the barrier. Address that barrier in your messaging or offer. I've tried things like that. They didn't work because whatever reason. Make sure your offer doesn't have that same flaw. So adjust. You're still good to move forward. You just need to tweak your approach a little. If most people are telling you, that's not my problem right now, I wouldn't prioritize paying for that. I don't think I'd use it even if I had it. Then either you're talking to the wrong people, in which case go find your actual person, or the problem isn't as urgent as you thought. Pick a different problem. Or, here's the big one, your solution doesn't quite fit. Rethink the format. Don't spiral. This is why we validate before we build. Adjusting now is so much easier than launching to crickets later and then trying to fix things. Here's what you're going to do this week. You're going to write your 5 validation questions. Use the framework that we talked about, that I talked about. Tailor them to your specific problem and solution. Keep them conversational, not robotic. Find 5 people, your network, relevant groups, social media connections, whoever. Just find 5 humans who roughly match your person from week 4. Have the conversations. Keep them short, 10 to 15 minutes max. Ask your questions. Listen more than you talk and take notes. Look for patterns. Are you hearing green, yellow, or red lights? Write it down. And 5, post what you've learned in BBS. Come share your 5 questions and the biggest thing you've learned. Even if what you learned is, I need to change my approach, that's still progress. You can do the worksheets in the classroom for basic EF inside of BBS. It's all free. Everything there, it's accessible, it's easy, it's in multiple formats for whatever your preferred learning style is. And yeah, it's there if you want it. And there's a bit more of a like learning process to it in there. I've decided that on here I'm going to stick to the remit of rambling. Isn't that fun? Next week, we're designing your simplest first offer, not the fancy version, not the I'll include everything version, not the 5-tier pricing version that takes 6 months to build. The simplest version that solves the problem and gets you your first sale without burning you out in the process. Because now you know people actually want this, time to figure out what it is you're going to sell to them. See you then.